Cartoons. Those things you used to watch every day after school or on Saturday mornings, until one day, you stopped. Or maybe you still do. I hope so. Personally speaking, I watch cartoons almost every morning because, as Nicole Kidman would say, we need that. All of us. Now, you don't specifically have to be watching cartoons every day, but I do think that it's important to be dedicating time to something that brings you joy in life. We gotta get joy wherever we can get it, considering that the world is in such an interesting place right now. I know, we're not even at the minute mark of this video yet, and I'm already making dark and intentionally vague statements. Let me balance this out by throwing something more cheerful onto the screen for a few seconds. Now, I don't watch cartoons just to distract myself from the horrors. That's honestly more of a new development. Animation has been a passion of mine for practically my entire life, and that passion has matured along with me. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I loved watching cartoons growing up because I appreciated the versatility of animation as a storytelling medium. I watched cartoons because, well, I just liked cartoons, as well as memorizing every single line of dialogue that made me laugh, with the express purpose of repeating it ad tedium to my friends and family. I also had undiagnosed ADHD, but that's neither here nor there. My relationship with not just cartoons, but stories in general has changed. I don't engage with TV, film, video games, or books in the same way anymore, because I now read or watch or listen with intention, interpreting the meaning and drawing parallels between my life and the lives of the characters. And it's for that exact reason that I now find it so fascinating to return to the media I grew up on, because I can usually see how they all had an effect on my development and whether that effect was merely a phase in my life or still a part of who I am today. My sense of humor, the kinds of friendships I've made over the years, and especially my moral compass have all been influenced by the media I've consumed. And I know this to be true about a lot of people, dare I say, the majority, because we are all currently suffering from the consequences brought about by this exact behavior, whether it's on an individual or collective level. However, these consequences aren't the result of what we watched as kids. It's due to the constant flood of information that's being slapped in front of our faces on a daily basis, courtesy of the various algorithms we've been feeding our tastes into. And some of it, well, I'm gonna be honest, Chief, it ain't good. It ain't good.
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
Yes.
But you know, as I'm consistently sickened by the amount of pure hatred and stupidity that's being actively platformed by so many people, I can't help but wonder, did we all just forget about practically every TV show we watched as kids? I get that it would be unrealistic to expect the majority of people to remember every episode of every cartoon they watched 20 plus years ago, but I do think that the number of people out there who just seem to be incapable of expressing things like, I don't know, basic human empathy is weird. It's a theme that's constantly present in just about every pre-K television show over the last 50 plus years, animated or otherwise. So why is it so hard? It's really not that hard, but somehow it's still hard. This is a real issue with our world that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. And while I can't act as if I know how to solve such a widespread crisis, I do think that I should at least attempt to start a conversation through the only way that I seem to know how: creating a long-winded multi-part video essay covering a cartoon from the 90s. I didn't say that my methods were practical. A while back, I gave my audience a survey asking what shows they'd like to see me cover in future videos. And out of all the choices, Hey Arnold won by a very large margin, which wasn't too surprising considering that Hey Arnold is one of the most beloved Nicktoons of all time, and the people filling out the survey more than likely found me through my other videos talking about other Nickelodeon shows. But believe it or not, I've had friends and family asking me if I'd talk about Hey Arnold for quite some time now, and they don't really care that much about animation. They just remember loving Hey Arnold, which I think says a lot about the show and its overall legacy. But in relation to what I said about how people don't remember the shows they watched as kids, my friends and family couldn't recall very much about Hey Arnold except for the very basics. He has a football-shaped head.
I like your head.
Thanks.
Helga is in love with him.
Good morning, Arnold. My muse. My inspiration.
And Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop.
Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop.
It may not be a lot, but it is proof that we took some things away from this show. And that feels kinda serendipitous to me, given our unfortunate situation at the moment. because the whole purpose of Hey Arnold was to emphasize the importance of being a good person, to do the right thing without expecting anything in return, because you shouldn't ever need some sort of incentive to be kind. And it's not even subtle about this. There's an episode where Helga has a dream involving a tiny little Arnold cherub telling her to do the right thing.
You know what you have to do. You must do the right thing.
But what is the right thing?
You know, do the right thing.
But don't get the wrong idea. Hey Arnold wasn't the kind of show that thought itself to be holier than thou. It may have had an agenda, sure, but these lessons of morality were almost always expressed very casually, which only seemed to add to the show's realism. And this, in a way, allowed the writers to sprinkle in more mature themes and subject matter that viewers would only understand the true significance of once they got older. Things that not even Arnold knows the significance of yet, despite being so wise beyond his years. Having been raised by his grandparents and in a house where I'm sure many faces have come and gone over the course of his 9 years of life, Arnold has more than likely been exposed to more cultures and personalities than the majority of his peers. We could also take into account that his parents were basically the humanitarian equivalents to Indiana Jones and Lara Croft, and how it can be inferred that his desire to help others is a trait that's been passed down by them. But shh, I'm saving all that for later. In fact, forget that I even mentioned it, it's gonna f up my thesis.
Sorry.
Arnold has spent his whole life witnessing people work out their differences amongst each other. Between Ernie, Oscar, and Mr. Hyuns's constant arguments alone, that feels like a given. Not to mention, his grandparents are landlords, which, well, that's a whole other can of worms we're not even gonna get into here.
You just wait out here. Mr. Purdy, I'm here for the rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
But the point that I'm making is that he spent enough time with these people to know them as individuals. As disgruntled or as annoying as they might be, they are still people at the end of the day, and he applies this logic towards every new person he meets, no matter how intimidated by them he might be. He looks for the good in everyone, and that's what makes him such a likable character. However, he is still a kid, and as well-meaning as he might be, peaceful conflict resolution only ever works if the other party is willing to listen. Good intentions can only really get you so far, because at the end of the day, there will always be assholes in this world, as well as people who have been hurt by said assholes and have understandably lost their faith in humanity as a result. Which is why, when I say that this show is about being a good person, it's much more complicated than that. Humans are much more complicated than that. I understand that this is a pretty big subject for me to tackle here, hence why I decided that it was best to chunk this analysis out across several video essays. Sure, I could have just decided to drop this as one multi-hour long video essay, as I've done in the past already, but I don't think that it's really fair to all of you who have been supporting me over the last few years. I'm immensely grateful to say that I have an audience who wants to see more from me, and I'm doing everything I can to make that possible. So thank you for your kindness and patience, seriously. And if this is my first video you're watching and you're like, this guy's not talking about me at all, I could be, if you like, comment, and subscribe. Wait, no, don't click off this video, come back!
Now back to Hey Arnold.
From a bird's eye view, the skyline of the city somehow evokes a feeling of familiarity, despite being completely fictional. It takes inspiration from the cities of Seattle and Portland, as well as the Brooklyn borough of
New York City.
But its culture and vibe get easily expressed to us through more than just these beautiful establishing shots. We come to form our understanding of Hillwood through its people, as each episode provides us with a new insight into the lives of its citizens. And we learn all of this alongside Arnold, who like us is always attempting to make sense of the world around him. Arnold approaches situations with an innate sense of objectivity. He's driven by curiosity, as many kids are, but he takes things a step further than most. He'll throw himself into potential danger despite the warnings of others because he views the risk as worth it. This could just be due to his cool and calm disposition.
You set a beautiful table, my fair senorita.
Muchas gracias.
Enchilada.
But I choose to believe that it's because he listens more to his instincts than the talk of the town. Even if what he's hearing is coming from someone he loves, their subjective opinions can only hold so much stock compared to forming his own opinion by going to the source itself. To put it plainly, what I'm referring to here is gossip and the effect it can have on people's lives. Gossiping is a fundamental part of human interaction, but that doesn't mean that there can't be consequences that result from it. Stories and rumors play a key role in many episodes of Hey Arnold, and the show does an effective job at highlighting the positives and negatives of their power. They can bring people closer together, but can also ruin someone's life given what's being said and by whom. But things become even more complicated once these rumors begin to circulate among the kids, as their ability to discern fact from fiction is much weaker, resulting in these rumors becoming more outrageous and fantastical over time, eventually reaching the status of urban legend. And Hillwood is home to quite a few of those. Each episode of Hey Arnold that focuses on an urban legend starts relatively the same. Something happens to Arnold that prompts someone to mention the name of an urban legend, which then cues Gerald to dramatically speak their tale to the group, as is his duty of being keeper of the tales.
The legend of the Pigeon Man has been handed down from kid generation to kid generation.
As Gerald narrates, we get thrown into a stylized fantasy sequence that portrays the legend as if they're some otherworldly creature. It's intended to predispose us into fearing it, to believe in these claims that coming from anyone besides Gerald would be dismissed as absurd. It's all one long game of telephone with a message that's become so warped and distorted by the imagination of children that the truth within it is barely recognizable. We all experienced some form of this as kids though. Even if you didn't live in a densely populated city like Hillwood, we all had our own town's equivalent to the scary house at the end of the block that supposedly was home to a kid-eating witch. But as we get older and we learn to better discern fact from fiction, we come to recognize that the witch we were so scared of was really just a misunderstood elderly woman who just wanted to be left alone. And while we're on the subject of witches, I should probably let you know before getting into the thick of things here that I'm not going to be discussing the spooky episodes of Hey Arnold. The spooky episodes being the ones which focus on the actual paranormal urban legends, such as Wheeze and Ed, the haunted train,
They say he lost his mind.
Four-Eyed Jack,
Boo.
the headless cabbie, and the ghost bride. I love these episodes, don't get me wrong, but they function completely differently than the standard ones. Our characters go out on a ghost hunt only to discover along the way that there are logical explanations that help discredit the validity of these ghosts' existence.
Who wants to hear my creepy laugh?
That is, until the last few seconds of the episode, where we and one other unfortunate character get to see that the ghost is, in fact, real. But nothing bad ever really happens.
Let me out! Come on, Helga! Helga!
Oh yeah, I forgot that Curly f***ing dies. Rip Curly, dude.
Blows to the head.
These episodes may still play around with the idea of dispelling misconceptions about urban legends, but they lack a crucial element that's present in the not-so-spooky urban legend episodes. And that's humanity. Each of these episodes seek to humanize these figures, to show us that they really are just people and not the monsters their stories depict them to be. But in order to do that, someone always has to take the first step. And what better person is there to take that step than Arnold?
Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop. Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop. Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop.
Alright, I get it!
There isn't a single 90s kid out there who doesn't know that Stoop Kid's afraid to leave his stoop. It's a chant that's been baked into the collective consciousness, and it's likely the only thing that casual Hey Arnold watchers remember the most vividly. The events leading up to this chant all start when the kid's football lands on Stoop Kid's stoop. Arnold is determined to get it back, but is warned by his friends that it's not possible. No one has ever gotten anything back from Stoop Kid's stoop because he supposedly never leaves it. And look, I can accept that ghost trains are real in this world, but you're telling me that this kid never has to get up and go take a piss? Is he using bottles behind that basket? Tell me where the piss is, Craig! Show me the piss! While his logic is not nearly as disgusting as my own, Arnold is also suspicious of the notion that Stoop Kid never leaves his stoop, so he decides to watch him, hanging out in a trash can across the street for hours, only to see that, yeah, he never leaves his stoop. He just sits there yelling at people, watching TV, and reading the little engine that could.
I think I can.
This leads to Arnold doing the math in his head on what it means if Stoop Kid really never leaves his stoop. He sneaks up to the stoop to grab his football, and while Stoop Kid catches him, he doesn't make any effort to chase after Arnold.
I'll get you, crazy kids!
Seeing that Stoop Kid is doing nothing, Arnold makes the connection in his head about what's really going on here. And well, you know the rest.
Stoop Kid's scared to leave his stoop.
I'm spreading the word.
In all fairness, this ridicule of Stoop Kid has been a long time coming. If the kids down the street are already making up stories about how you might be some sort of demon and you're only like 12 or 13 years old, then odds are you've been a jerk for quite a while now. He's been harassing pedestrians for God knows how long, so of course everyone's eager to give him a taste of his own medicine. The Stoop was his security, his buffer from the rest of the world, and he had fooled everyone into thinking that his fear was actually his power. But thanks to Arnold, the truth is now out there. Now, when Arnold told Gerald that Stoop Kid was afraid to leave his stoop, he didn't anticipate that the situation would devolve into such a high level of public ridicule. I mean, they made this front page news in the local paper. That's how much people f***ing hate this kid. Arnold may not be participating in the mass humiliation, but it is true that his actions led to it. And even if Stoop Kid has been a bully, he is still a kid that's been afraid of people this entire time. And Arnold recognizes this, recalling his stakeout and seeing Stoop Kid struggle to read the little engine that could, which is why he offers to help Stoop Kid overcome his fear. Which isn't easy, as he finds out after many failed attempts to do so. But once he shows Stoop Kid all the beautiful stoops around the world that he could be sitting on, Stoop Kid finds the courage to proudly proclaim his mission to the world.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna leave the stoop!
It takes all of 5 minutes of in-universe time for most of the city to gather outside of Stoop Kid's residence. And you know, as iconic of a moment in the show that this is, I can't help but think, this is a little f***ed up, right? Given the way that everyone has been treating him, it comes across as a bit cruel and exploitative to be making a spectacle out of him conquering his fear. You even got a guy selling t-shirts. It's only been 5 minutes. How did you make those so quickly? But you know what? This fanfare may seem a bit cartoonish and over-exaggerated, but ain't this just how people are? Over time, the citizens of Hillwood start to feel like a character in themselves. We may know a few of them by name, but our perception of the city gets shaped through moments like this, where these no-name characters come together and establish the energy that surrounds a scene. Whether it's a crowd of 10 or 1,000, the citizens of Hillwood help shape the identity of the city itself. It's community and togetherness in action, and that's what we're seeing here with the city coming together to watch Stoop Kid leave his stoop. They may have hated him up until now, but they clearly care enough about him to show up for his big moment. Whether they realize it or not, they want to see him succeed, and that's proven by the uproar of cheers that he receives from everyone once they see his feet on the sidewalk. It's a moment of triumph, and it makes me happy for Stoop Kid. Out of all the urban legends, Stoop Kid has the most triumphant story by far. He's overcome his fear, and now has the option to make a new name for himself, a fresh start.
You know, Arnold, you taught me a great thing. Now I can harass people from my stoop and from off my stoop!
But as we soon find out, not every urban legend is afforded this same luxury.
Hello? Mr. Pigeon Man? Sir?
While sharing similarities with Stoop Kid, Pigeon Man's episode is just as depressing as it is honest, as it expands upon the same idea of mass ridicule that we saw Stoop Kid experience. But the key difference here is that the damage has already been done, creating who is perhaps one of the most tragic characters in all of Hey Arnold. The episode begins with Arnold's pigeon Chester coming down with a sickness that prevents him from flying. We never see or hear about Chester in any episode outside of this one. He's really just a plot device. But even so, they do a really great job at getting you to care about him and convincing you that Arnold cares about him as well. They even drew a little heart on his chest, representing how you're going to get your heart ripped out by the end of this episode. Oh, I should say, in case you don't remember this episode very well, Chester doesn't die or anything, only your faith in humanity does. Sid tells Arnold that he should take Chester to the Pigeon Man, which segues into Gerald's telling of the tale.
The creature, half man and half bird, known only as Pigeon Man.
Now, compared to Stoop Kid's story, this one is much, much creepier. We see the shadowy figure of Pigeon Man skulking around the desolated rooftop of a building, conveying to us this idea of a bird-like monster. That matters little to Arnold, though, as he understands that Pigeon Man is perhaps the only one who can help him save Chester's life. So he makes the climb up to Pigeon Man's rooftop, and once he arrives, he's face to face with the fabled Birdman himself.
Hi, I'm Arnold. I thought maybe you...
Arnold is of course surprised to see what Pigeon Man looks like, but not because he bought into the wild claims found in Gerald's story. His face is of someone who's broken and has experienced hardship, someone who hasn't trusted a soul in years. Arnold hands over Chester and explains what's wrong, and all that Pigeon Man says in response is to come back tomorrow as he begins his examination of Chester. Not knowing what else to do, Arnold leaves. Pigeon Man's introduction always manages to give me chills. He may not resemble anything remotely close to the monster the kids believed him to be, but there's a haunting quality about his presence, despite being just a guy. But when Arnold returns the next day, Pigeon Man is now happy to talk to him, explaining that Arnold's compassion for Chester was apparent from his examination. Arnold's both relieved and flattered, taking this as his opportunity to get to know Pigeon Man, now that he has earned his trust. He goes on to explain that he grew up down the street and even went to PS 118 just like Arnold. But when he became fascinated with birds, the people who were in his life drifted away and his trust faded fast. His character is meant to start a conversation about the ways in which society mistreats people for their perceived differences, and how this kind of demonization can effectively ruin a person's life, even if they've done nothing wrong. Stoop Kid may have been similar in terms of his reputation, but he was still a kid. Plus, he was actively antagonizing everyone who passed by him, so it was easier to understand why he was hated by so many. But Pigeon Man has been misunderstood and ridiculed by the public for God only knows how long, all because he's an introverted guy who likes to take care of pigeons, a bird that many also consider to be a pest in themselves, especially in cities like Hillwood. His character represents the unfortunate reality of how some people are incapable of showing kindness towards someone that is different from themselves, and it's because of this hate, Pigeon Man has grown to hate people in return. But his hatred doesn't manifest in the same way. He doesn't lash out at others, nor does he see the logic in trying to make himself understood. Instead, he opts to spend his time with the only creatures who have shown him genuine love and appreciation, his pigeons.
How did you learn to talk to him?
I've spent a lot of time with them. I trust them, they trust me.
To thank him for his help, Arnold takes Pigeon Man out for pizza, while Harold, Stinky, and... Wait, what the hell is this kid's name? Joey? Alright. Anyway, they're mad at Arnold for befriending Pigeon Man, as if Arnold thinks that he's better than them for doing so, despite them never making the effort themselves. So, how do they respond to these feelings of inadequacy?
What if we went over to Pigeon Man's roof while he's away and messed with his stuff?
Now look, I don't want to get off topic right before reaching the conclusion to this episode, but can I just talk for 1 second about how much I fucking hate Harold? I will be talking at length about him in part 2 of this series, so I don't want to harp on him too much right now, but man, is he at his worst in these season 1 episodes. Even in Stoop Kid's episode, he's the one who takes the most pleasure in bullying Stoop Kid, because he knows that he can harass him all he wants without getting his ass kicked.
Hey, Stoop Kid, why don't you leave your stoop?
Which is why it's all the more satisfying at the end when he comes back from being somewhere and proceeds to continue mocking Stoop Kid, unaware that he has just conquered his fear.
Come here, fat boy!
He's nothing more than a one-dimensional bully who chooses to be mean for the sake of being mean, which is why this example of his cruelness in Pigeon Man pisses me off as much as it does. I'm not claiming this to be bad writing, as this early iteration of Harold lacks the self-awareness to understand what motivates him to act this way. Multiple times over the course of Hey Arnold, Harold is going to keep doing things that make you question why he is the way that he is. There is some logic behind it, but those answers will come later on. So anyway, after these idiots ruin Pigeon Man's rooftop sanctuary, and Arnold and Pigeon Man return to discover what happened, they both have separate reactions. Arnold is understandably outraged, wanting to find the culprits immediately, but Pigeon Man is remaining stoic, despite seeing what was essentially his life's work laying before him in ruins.
Your birds will come back.
Of course they'll come back. I trust them. I understand them. It's people I don't understand.
At the time of this upload, it's been nearly 29 years since this episode first aired. Its message is still as relevant today as it was back then. Arnold may have been able to remind Pigeon Man, or Vincent rather, that there are good people out there in the world, but he wasn't gullible enough to believe that humanity as a whole had improved in any way. For every Arnold in the world, there is a Harold, and no matter what progress we think we might make, that fact will remain. But Arnold did, in fact, succeed in teaching Vincent something, which is that kindness is out there. He may have been happy on this rooftop, but it wasn't allowing him to, for lack of a better term, spread his wings and fly away to find that kindness, which is why he then does one of the most insane things a human being has ever done.
Remember, Arnold, always wash your berries before you eat them.
Thanks, Jesus. Jesus.
You knew this was coming. I mean, how could I not talk about Monkeyman?
I'm a superhero. I fight crime, Monkeyman.
To get this out of the way now, I should probably mention that he is unfortunately voiced by...
Hey, party people! I'm ready to get 86th!
Andy Dick!
Oh no! And if you don't understand why everyone hates this guy, all that it really takes is a quick look through his Wikipedia page. Or you can just watch the American Dad episode where Stan uses him as a replacement for Roger.
Bouncing, vodka Andy Dick.
Monkeyman stands apart from both Stoop Kid and Pigeon Man. Initially, he started as a background character in Hillwood with multiple appearances that can be traced back all the way to the first episode in the series. Knowing that, I think it's safe to assume that Craig Bartlett has a lot of love for this character, as he provides the voice for Monkeyman in all of his appearances before and after his Spotlight episode in Season 4.
Monkeyman!
That being said, he's not someone who the kids live in fear of. They see him as a vigilante that seeks to bring criminals to justice, just like any superhero you'd see in a comic or movie. And given that he saves Arnold from getting mugged one night, only to disappear without a trace immediately after, it's hard to think of him as anything but. And this image only gets reinforced through Gerald's telling of the tale, which takes some very obvious inspiration from Batman the Animated Series.
But if you find yourself in the heart of downtown, keep looking around, because you just might run into him. Monkeyman. The
adults, however, seem to feel a little differently. Mr. Green, for example, sees him as more of a nuisance as he steals bananas from the docks and shouts his names at all hours of the night.
Monkeyman!
The opinions on Monkeyman are definitely split. Boo! Is he a hero, or is he just some guy? None of that changes the fact that he saved Arnold, who is determined to find him and express his gratitude. So following what Mr. Green told him, he goes looking for Monkeyman at the docks that night, waiting to hear him shout his name, which does happen, leading to Arnold chasing him down all the way back to his Monkeyman lair, where he learns that... Yeah. He sure is just a guy, hanging out in an alleyway, eating bananas. He tells Arnold and the other boarders about his childhood, how he spent most of his time at the city zoo, obsessively watching the monkeys, and was severely bullied because of it. This was his origin story, what inspired him to fight for justice. In a way, he's like the reverse Pigeon Man, as they are each victims of the same system. But the key difference here is that the ridicule Monkeyman faced served as his motivator in fighting back against his oppressors. Pigeon Man's spirit wasn't as resilient, and instead he chose to shut himself away from society altogether. Typically, Monkeyman's choice to be a hero would be viewed as commendable, but as the episode progresses, we watch as the story of Monkeyman turns into more of a cautionary tale. All it takes is one banana split for Monkeyman to decide that he wants to reintegrate into society, which you can see even catches Arnold a bit off guard. Like, really, man? That's all that it took? But the way he goes about doing this is interesting. All we see him do is take a shower and buy a Spirit Halloween Willy Wonka costume, and next thing we know, he's now schmoozing with the 1% of Hillwood.
And Jejune.
Brilliant. Jejune.
And why? Here's what I think is happening. Given the inspiration that's being taken from Batman, Monkeyman has a distorted viewpoint of how society is actually structured. He thinks that he has to play the part of Bruce Wayne in addition to Monkeyman in order to complete the picture in his head of being a hero. But the reality of this situation is that he's seeking validation from those who consider themselves to be better than the general population. And as far as we know, he's only got this far because he made everyone aware of the fact that he is Monkeyman. They're attracted to his status as a notable public figure, and he allows himself to be absorbed by the shallowness of their attention, in turn becoming one of them and losing sight of what got him there in the first place, which is the people he swore to protect.
We have a whole police force to take care of the weak and the downtrodden, Arnold.
It doesn't take long for him to come back to his senses, though, as he's shown the consequences of his negligence through Sid, who we see get mugged by the same guys who went after Arnold.
Sid, what's wrong? What happened?
What happened? I got mugged!
Mugged?
Yeah, you know, mugged. Right in front of the stinking opera house!
Opera house?
Man, I gotta give props to Sid's voice actor, Sam Gafaldi, because I think that his performance here contributed greatly towards the overall legacy of this episode. Between the devastation of losing his to shaming Monkeyman so aggressively in front of everyone for not coming to his aid when he could literally see Monkeyman inside the opera house. He's understandably traumatized, and he uses this rush of adrenaline to make Monkeyman know that he blames him directly for what happened.
You're just some kind of selfish, caviar-eating, opera-going tuxedo boy! Yeah, that's what you are.
You can make the argument that this isn't technically Monkeyman's fault.
We have a whole police force to take care of the weak and the downtrodden, Arnold.
But this still serves as an example of him failing to uphold the oath that he swore. And the guilt creeps up on him so fast that all he can do is run away in shame. Monkeyman got into this situation because he takes pride in who he is. He considers himself to be the city's protector, and what happened to Sid forced him to confront what he had become. I don't fault Monkeyman for wanting to fit in. We all possess the desire to feel loved and appreciated. But what Monkeyman failed to realize is that he was already receiving that from the people he's helped. Like Arnold. He was making a positive impact on his community, even if some did consider him to be more annoying than helpful. But he wasn't able to realize this until he had to face the consequences of his negligence. After considering what happened to Sid, he wants to hang up the cape permanently.
You were happy being Monkeyman. You still can do it. Sure, Sid needed you, but lots of kids still need you. Don't give up now.
He decides to go back to crime fighting, and to prove his commitment, he delivers to Arnold Sid's retrieved pair of beetle boots, ending the episode with one final
Monkeyman!
Jump, Free Willy! Jump! Jump with all your might!
When compared to the previously discussed urban legends, Big Caesar stands out for a few reasons, the first of which being that this episode isn't so much about Caesar himself. Sure, the narrative may be centered around him, but thematically, it's more about what he represents at the end. Arnold and Gerald find out that everyone's entering a fishing competition that's being held at the city lake, and decide to not just join, but announce that they will beat them all by catching the fabled Lord of the Lake, Big Caesar. As the story goes, he's a massive fish who is believed to be a still surviving remnant of the prehistoric age, trapped in their lake due to centuries of continental drift. It's the most far-fetched of the urban legends, and not everyone is willing to believe in his existence. But after telling Arnold's grandpa about their goal, he tells the boys that he nearly caught the fish himself decades ago, confirming to them that he is, in fact, real.
I was out in the murkiest corner of City Lake on a foggy dawn in October.
Oh wait, sorry, wrong clip.
2 fathoms long, the mightiest of fish, scales like on gleaming black spikes along his back.
One training montage later, it's the day of the competition, and Arnold and Gerald are now sailing out into the fog in search of Big Caesar. And after waiting what I can only presume has been a long time, they find him. Or rather, he finds them.
We're gonna need a bigger swan.
Unlike the previous legends, Big Caesar actually lives up to the hype. He may not be millions of years old like his story suggests, but that doesn't change the fact that this fish is indeed a monster, a true creature worthy of its reputation. He puts up such a fight that the boys' boat gets destroyed in their attempt to capture him, and once they do succeed, he's far too big to even bring aboard. So they tie him to the side of their boat and sail back with him, excited to both win the competition and prove the naysayers like Helga wrong about Big Caesar's existence. At least, that's how they feel at first. One of the things that Hey Arnold is best known for is how it portrays this urge kids have to accomplish something that feels impossible yet somehow doable, like breaking a world record for the world's largest pizza puff.
What's a pizza puff?
Or convincing the entire city to turn off their lights so that they can all watch a comet pass by in the sky.
23 skidoo!
And even if their plans don't always go the way they intend, things usually end up working out for them. But in the case of Big Caesar, catching him is no different from any of those goals. His status as a legend alone will guarantee them first place in the competition, as well as the glory of accomplishing something that was believed to be impossible. And you feel happy for them, it's a victory they've earned. But as they're sailing back, Arnold looks down at the now pitiful form of Big Caesar floating alongside them.
Gerald, what? Look at it. What? I see him.
Big Caesar. No, Gerald, really, look at it.
I don't know who decided to draw Caesar's eye like this, but damn, it triggers your empathy for him, and you start to consider what this big-ass fish really is. Because of the hype surrounding him, we, along with Arnold and Gerald, didn't think of Caesar as an animal. We were conditioned to think of him as a monster, something that must be conquered and shown to the world. But what we see here isn't a monster at all.
Look at him. He's one of our urban legends.
Don't you want to be rich and famous?
This weirdly reminds me of the original story of King Kong. Not the new movies that feature him fighting against or alongside Godzilla, although those movies are admittedly a guilty pleasure of mine.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
I think we all know the basic beats of this story. They find the big monkey on the island, he quote-unquote falls in love with a beautiful woman, only to have this weakness be taken advantage of.
There comes a giant fish!
He's taken off of the island and shipped back to New York so that they can make bank off of the discovery and turn him into a spectacle. But oh no, the big strong monkey is big and strong, breaking free from his chains, rampaging around New York until eventually taking the woman up to the top of the Empire State Building, only to get shot off by airplanes and die. And what did our characters learn from this experience?
It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast.
No, I think it was capitalism, actually, but go off, man.
He's always been king of his world, but we'll teach him fear. We're millionaires, boys. I'll share it with all of you.
I don't think that it was intentional to make Kong a sympathetic creature, at least not originally, and I believe that solely due to the existence of that line at the end. It demonstrates a lack of understanding towards the entire story, unless that meaning is meant to convey subtextually that the hubris of man was what killed the beast along with all those innocent people it stepped on. None of this would have happened had it not been because of man's desire for fame and fortune, which was the motivator that brought Arnold and Gerald out onto this foggy lake to begin with. By the way, isn't it weird that this episode seems to have more in common with King Kong than the episode that has an actual King Kong reference in it? Just wanted to point that out. And while I highly doubt that the writers had King Kong in mind when making this episode, Hey Arnold's entire shtick is to encourage its viewers to do the right thing, to consider the impact that your actions have on others. When it came to the human urban legends of Hillwood, it was much easier for both Arnold and the audience to empathize with their struggles, thanks to that human connection. Their humanity is easier to perceive because Arnold is actually able to speak with them, but communication is different with animals, and we can't so easily understand them due to that barrier. It's more difficult, and there are many people out there who simply don't want to make the effort, as shown through Gerald's reservations about letting him go.
Arnold, are you crazy? This is history. We caught Big Caesar!
To echo back to Pigeon Man for a sec, that story began due to Arnold's concern for Chester, a pet that we have never seen before or after, unlike his pig Abner, who we see many times over the course of the series. But even so, all it takes to convince us that Arnold truly cares for Chester is Pigeon Man's willingness to talk to him the following day. And that should say a lot given Pigeon Man's resentment towards practically everyone. With that in mind, it isn't very surprising to see that Arnold's capacity for kindness would extend towards an animal like Big Caesar as well. Arnold wanted the glory of being the one to catch Big Caesar and prove his existence, but seeing such a mighty creature of legend look so defeated helps him understand that the right thing to do here is to let him go, to let the legend live on and effectively save an innocent life in the process. Him and Gerald lose the competition, but the satisfaction of knowing that they did the right thing in the end is enough of a win in itself.
Nice going, Short Man.
Now, I could have ended this video with Big Caesar, as he is technically the last true urban legend that Arnold directly encounters. But given what I've just highlighted, I think there's one final character that's worthy of discussion, one that, like Big Caesar, carries with them a reputation of being a monster. But the key difference here is that this monster isn't elusive or even wild. All you have to do is go to the Hillwood Aquarium to see him. I'm of course talking about Lockjaw.
The mighty Lockjaw.
Going back to season 1 of Hey Arnold, specifically the episode titled Field Trip, Arnold and his class are on a field trip to the aquarium. As the kids talk about what they're most excited to see, the name Lockjaw gets brought up.
Yeah, Lockjaw!
And Arnold doesn't know about who or what Lockjaw is, and none of the kids are providing any real answers, only speculation and rumors that confuse Arnold more.
Hey, is that Lockjaw?
Yeah, right.
Which one's Lockjaw?
You kidding?
Are you Lockjaw? That's okay, take your time.
But when it comes time to finally go see Lockjaw, what he encounters isn't the monster that he was led to believe existed. Instead, Lockjaw is just a normal sea turtle. There isn't anything special about him except for maybe the weird colorful symbols on his shell that look like they might just be graffiti. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense at first, but once Arnold and the rest of his class process that this is, in fact, Lockjaw, it's infuriating, to say the least.
Yes! I got him! Yes!
I'm gonna be so for real, guys. I know I'm promoting the importance of kindness and understanding here, but Harold is on thin ice right now. As upsetting as it is to watch, it's incredibly effective at getting you to sympathize with Lockjaw's situation. He's being abused by the aquarium who promote these false rumors about him as a way to entice potential visitors, only to make them feel cheated and lash out at the poor turtle. And the aquarium is doing nothing about it, and Arnold is immediately able to recognize what's happening. His heart breaks for Lockjaw, and the hurt only multiplies after they share a moment of connection at the bottom of his dirty tank.
Hey, man.
This speaks to a certain powerlessness that we sometimes feel as humans, when we recognize that something is wrong yet we don't exactly know what to do in order to fix the situation. And it's especially relatable to the experience of childhood, as being so young comes with feeling the lack of power you possess compared to the adults surrounding you. And this powerlessness eats away at Arnold well after leaving the aquarium, as everything reminds him of Lockjaw. But it isn't until his grandma comes in that he starts to elaborate on what's got him down.
See, we went to the aquarium today.
Oh, the big house for fish.
Now, Arnold's grandma Gertie is a character who I didn't really appreciate that much as a kid. I didn't dislike her or anything, I just saw her as simple comedic relief. The unhinged granny that was surprisingly multifaceted.
This is indeed an historic moment.
Kill the Empire!
But upon revisiting the show, she's much more defined by her willingness to fight for what she believes in and supporting Arnold and his friends in whatever system they are fighting against. She serves as an example to Arnold of how important it is to fight for what's right, even if most of her anger in the situation is because Lockjaw is old.
Treating a wise old creature like he's some sort of common criminal.
I think they just...
Come on! There's not a moment to lose! But I said come on!
With her help, she and Arnold coordinate a jailbreak, which sounds difficult on paper, but then you see that this is the aquarium security guard.
Come on, Jaws! Bite me!
Now don't ask me why, but I think I figured out how to deal with Harold. They scrub the graffiti off his shell, throw him into the backseat of the car, which inadvertently creates one of the hardest shots of the show, and wheel him back into the ocean at the city docks. He lands in the water with a cartoonish splat, and rises into frame with his head covered in sludge. You can tell from the way that he looks back at Arnold and his grandma that he's unsure if this is really better for him, but after some encouragement, he finds the courage to swim out towards the sea and disappears as Arnold and his grandma watch the sunrise. It's a really sweet and hopeful ending, at least until she says this.
All this exercise gives me a hankering for some turtle soup.
Considering how much more there is to say about Hey Arnold, ending this video has proved itself to be a challenge for me. So here's what I think needs to be said. Possessing the title of urban legend seems to be a double-edged sword. It can potentially earn you respect and admiration from the masses, but it can just as easily alienate you from the rest of society and give them a reason to fear you. It's a spectrum of dehumanization which can lead to either deification or demonization, and regardless of where they may land on that spectrum, consequences don't seem to be exclusive to either side. This is what the urban legends all teach us in each of their episodes, that those who are different from us aren't really that different at all, as we'll see Arnold demonstrate over and over again. And through his actions, it'll help us better understand not only him, but practically every single person he helps over the course of this series. But I'll be saving those thoughts for part 2. Thank you for watching.
When life gets you down, wearing a frown, don't look away, look up. 'Cause memories true come out of the blue. You know the way, look up. Come on, Arnold.
Oh, but before you go, in addition to the usual like, comment, and subscribe that always comes at the end of these, I want to give a shout out to my Patreon. For $2 a month, you'll not only get your name displayed at the end of all my future videos as a thank you for supporting this channel, but you'll also gain early access to future videos and all exclusive content over there as well. The most notable of which is my video essay on the Studio Ghibli film Whisper of the Heart, which Ghibli swiftly removed from YouTube and put me in 90-day copyright jail for. so it lives on Patreon now. I'm really proud of how that video turned out, and I'm still upset that it couldn't remain on YouTube for everyone to see. Even if you pay the 1 month just to watch that video, then cancel, it would still help me out a ton, so please, consider supporting if you have the means to do so. Thank you, once again. With that being said, please take care of yourselves as well as your friends and loved ones, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.